to repeat it again. I think our objective is to show you Bethlehem as it is. From the wall and the settlement till the Christmas celebrations we are having here. You can make your own conclusions later on how much the occupation and settlements that we showed at the beginning have an impact in the celebrations we have here. I leave you with Dr. Rula Maayah, the Minister of Tourism. Later on, Dr. Samir Hazboun is going to explain the figures that you have in this fact sheet prepared by the Chamber of Commerce, and then we're going to open the floor for questions both in English and Arabic.
Okay, good afternoon. First, I would like to welcome you all here in Bethlehem and in Palestine. I want to talk to you a little bit about the current situation, about tourism in Palestine, and about the tourist sector in general. As you might all know, during the last few years, we had an increase in number of tourists coming to Palestine. And we had also an increase in overnight stays in Palestine. The problem that we have and the problem that we're always facing is that until this moment, Palestine is a state under occupation, meaning that we do our best. We work hard in the Ministry of Tourism in order to develop the tourism sector, in order to attract more tourists coming to Palestine, and of course spending nights in Palestine, getting to know Palestine, the Palestinians, their culture and everything. But of course, being a state under occupation, this prevents us from achieving our goal. We always say we cannot say because Palestine is under occupation so we cannot work. No, we work all the time. We do our best in order to develop the tourism sector. I want to give you an idea what happened the last few years, maybe the last 5 years in the tourism sector, and what is the situation now and how it is affected, of course, by the Israeli occupation. The last few years, maybe if we talk about the last 5 or 6 years, we had this continuous increase in number of tourists coming to Palestine and in overnight stays in Palestine. But again, because of occupation, we cannot achieve what we wanted. The year 2012, we had the highest jump, the highest increase, which was 25% in terms of overnight stays in Palestine, which was the highest jump ever. And we had also 18% increase in number of visitors coming to Palestine. The year 2013, again, we had another increase, which was a challenge, of course, for us in the Ministry of Tourism and for the private sector, because having this jump in 1 year, we thought that the next year we will not have another increase, but again we had another increase in the year 2013, which was up to 5%. The year 2014, we cannot talk about the year as a whole. When we talk about the year 2014, of course, we have to talk about the first half of the year and the second half of the year. The first half of the year 2014 was the best year ever in terms of overnight stays in Palestine. The first half of the year, most of the hotels in Palestine, and especially here in Bethlehem, told us that they had overbooking of 200% until the end of the year. But again, because we live under occupation, because things can happen any time that will push us back because of the Israeli aggression on Gaza. In summer 2014, we had a drop in a number of tourists coming to Palestine. The drop was during the aggression on Gaza itself was 60%, and then we managed to recover step by step. But the problem was, and of course it happens everywhere in the world, that whenever there's a problem, Usually, we need time to recover, especially the tourist sector needs time to recover. In our case in Palestine, we could recover in a shorter period of time. We started having tourists booking again after the aggression on Gaza, and more tourists started rescheduling to Palestine. But of course, the beginning of the year 2015, this year, was not the way that should be, was not the way expected, because usually tourists, when they book for their visit to Palestine or to any other place, they start the booking from September, October, November for the next year. So the year 2014, because of the problems, of course, the booking was not as it should be. So this year, 2015, we had problems at the beginning of the year, and of course, as you know, at the end of the year. The beginning of the year, because of the rescheduling, was not as was expected, because many of the tourists were still considering to come or not to come. And the end of the year, because of the Israeli practices and the problems you can see here now in Palestine. But despite all these problems, despite all the problems of occupation, we managed to receive this year, until this moment, around 2.2 million tourists coming to Palestine, to Bethlehem. Of the year, and end of the year, we are doing our best. The private sector is working hard together with the ministry. We worked hard to encourage tourists to come from all over the world, and we also opened new markets in many countries around the world in order to encourage tourists to come to Palestine. I heard from Javier that today you visited Beirona, you saw the wall, and you have an idea on the ground on what's going on. But I want to stress the fact that during the Israel occupation, it was the first time ever that Bethlehem is separated from its twin city, Jerusalem. So if you go back to the history, always Jerusalem was open, and there was nothing that hindered, that prevented those people from all these cities, from Bethlehem to Jerusalem, from Jerusalem to Bethlehem. But during the Israeli occupation, Bethlehem was completely separated from Jerusalem. I want to maybe give the opportunity to my friend Dr. Hazboun, and then open the floor for your questions. But at the end, I would like to say that this is the land of peace, and Bethlehem is the birthplace of the King of Peace, and all what we want is to live in peace in our state, Palestine, and to celebrate Christmas peacefully without daily problems and without occupation. Thank you very much.
First of all, I would like to say something about the place where we are. We are not only at the Casanova. We are at the place where His Holiness Francis, he was here. He met with the Palestinian families in this place. Usually, each year, in this hall, we have the dinner with the President Abbas and with the priests and the custodian of the Holy Land and all the people who are participating at the midnight mass in Bethlehem. Then it seems to me that this year's season has been opened by your participation in this very important place as a part of the compound of the Church of Nativity. On the basis of my previous experience, I prefer to prepare a fact sheet and to distribute it to you, taking into consideration your questions and other things. The economic situation in our area basically you have been seeing places like the Fir'auna Hall and others. But I'm speaking with the head of the